Welcome everybody. On this week's in language acquisition program, we talk to Sonia Vences, Dagmar Rivera, Paula Saranedialkov, and Erick Ramírez, who are experts in linguistics. Dag, if I could start with you, which is your theory about?
Well, behaviorism is a theory of Skinner based on the imitation of children to adults, thus reinforcing their behavior when they do things well. Behavior psychologists claim that when an action is consistently rewarded, a habit is formed and is seen as a desirable behavior. This is called positive reinforcement. On the contrary, when an action is unwanted or we don't want to reinforce it, it is punished or ignored. Skinner affirmed that this theory is used in language acquisition when a child imitates the adults around him, could be praised or corrected if he does not. Although this may explain some aspects of language acquisition, also has some that are not covered. For example, children tend to generalize words with rules that are used more frequently, such as the pluralization of children instead of children, or men instead of men, or fishes instead of fish. Also, the stage of acquisition are marked, and children find it difficult to imitate structures that are very advanced and don't understand yet. My last example is that adults correct pronunciation or vocabulary more frequently than grammar itself. So these are the reasons why this theory was questioned at the time.
Okay, thanks. What do you think about Paula?
Well, I support Chomsky theory is innate. This theory is behaviorist, and it consists that children has an innate faculty for language acquisition. The child's natural predisposition to learn language is activated by hearing a speech, and the child's brain is able to interpret what he hears or what they hears according to the underlying principles or structures it already contains. For example, let me give you one example. This natural faculty has been known as the language acquisition device, that is LAD. Well, by this I mean that it's a native English child is not born already knowing something specific about English. All human languages share common principles. So, for example, everyone has words for things and actions. For example, nouns and verbs, pronouns, etc. So, in this case, the ALAB already contains the concept of tense. When the child, for example, listen to the parents or to the friends say worked, played, or crossed, etc., they notice that this tense finished in D, in T, or ID. So this one is a good example that they have this acquisition for the things that they hear to speak in another person. So one disadvantage of this Chomsky work, because not everything is like, everything is in a balance. So you have advantages and you have disadvantages. Chomsky work on language was theoretical. He took an interest in grammar and much of his work, but in this case, he not studied real children. The theory is based on children being exposed to language, and does not take into account the interaction to speak the language function. So they made a lot of theoric studies, but they don't have the interaction in physical way.
That's well. Thanks, Paul. Now, could you tell us your position, Erick, please?
Yes. Well, I will support the cognitive theory of Jim Page that states that children have to assimilate the things that happen in the minute. They just when some new information comes to their lives, they have to learn from that and try and then look at their knowledge that they already have. They just try to put this new information in there, trying to make it fit, and then having just like a pamphlet, they have to, they tend to see the whole panorama, and then they completely understand concepts, and that's when they can use it to learn more about a language. They don't have a predisposition to speak a language or try to learn from that. They have to let it set in their minds so they can start understanding it and using it later in a language. They have to keep learning about it.
Okay, thanks. Finally, we're gonna go with Sonia. Can you tell us your position, please?
Hi, Normita. Hi, dear colleagues. Well, I think I see eye to eye with social interaction theory. In this case, we have two main scholars that are representative of this posture, that are Jerome Brunner and Lev Vygotsky. The main idea of this theory is that the young children learn through the interaction with their parents. There is a need of this adult figure that can guide them, and so they can't even imitate the language they are trying to acquire. The first scholar I would like to talk about is Jerome Brunner, who was an American. Well, he is extremely well known not only because of their linguistic works, but also their work on psychologists. And well, he puts over the table two main concepts. One is scaffolding, that is literally a support, a temporary structure that helps young children to acquire new vocabulary and new grammar structures and new pragmatic structures, so they can develop the language apart, well, in the interaction with parents, and the language acquisition support system, the LASS. That is the postulate that language is acquired through conversation. It is important for children to have this kind of conversation and to enter to the communicative world. I mean, one of the best examples are given in elementary schools, where students are sit in with a classmate, and one helps each other in their language projects. The other scholar I would like to talk about is Lev Vygotsky. He is extremely well known, and it's of paramount importance that we can understand the sounds. The sounds are circles, concentric circles, in which you going from one stage to another, from your zone of achieved development to your proximal development zone, and there is a potential zone, and of course there is an inability zone. So that would be some of the main concepts of Lev Vygotsky. I think that one of the greatest examples of Lev Vygotsky theory is the way little children acquire the language in preschool, when they make friends and learn new vocabulary, even bad words, and construct their meanings, not only with the interaction with adults, but also with the interaction with their peers. So is of, I have said, of paramount importance, the society. You cannot develop a proper language without the society. We need the others to form the meanings, to understand the meanings, and to go beyond our development zone.
Okay, Sonia, Dagmar, Paula, and Erick, thanks to be here.
Thanks to you.
Thanks for watching us. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon. Bye.
Was a pleasure.